and welcome back. In this lecture, we'll look at an example of the split, apply, and combine method. And one very important function in our data aggregation technique is called group by. We'll be using this group by method a lot in data aggregation. It will help us group our data into various groups. Let's start by creating a data frame, and we'll save this in a variable called data frame pd.data frame, and then let's pass key and value combo to create our data frame using a dictionary. So I'll name the first key 1, and then for values I'll pass a list of alphabets. Let's say A, B, and A. For our second key and value combo, let's pass key 2. And then for our values, we'll pass, let's pass first, second, first, second, and first. And let's pass 2 more key and value combo. I'll just name one, let's say column 1. Our key and for values, we'll use NumPy's random method, np.random.randn. Then we'll pass 5, so this will generate normally distributed numbers randomly. Let's pass 1 more key and value combo. Let's say column 2 for key, and for value, we'll use the same NumPy's random.randn method, and we'll pass 5. Now let's look at our data frame. We see that we have a 5 by 4 data frame. We have column 1, column 2, key 1, and key 2. Let's say we want to calculate the mean of column 1 by first grouping the data using this key 1. How can we do that? So what we will do is first we'll group our data frame by key 1 values. So we'll group them by either A or B, since key 1 values are either A or B. And once we group them into either A or B, we can calculate our column 1 mean values of A and B. Let's see how to do that. So we have our data frame, and then we have our column 1. We'll be grouping column 1 by key 1 values. This is where we use the group by function or method. So we take our data frame column 1, and then we'll group it by key 1. So we group it by our data frames key 1. And let's save this in a variable called, let's say, group 1. Now if we look at our group 1 object, we see that it's a series group by object. What we can do on this object is that we can directly call the mean on our group 1 object. It's already grouped. So group 1 that mean, and then if we run it, we see that the mean of S is negative 0.79 and B is 0.569. Here our data is aggregated based on the group key, and that produced a new series, which was then indexed by the values in the key1 column. In this example, the group key is a series. So this key1 is a series. If you look at key1 by itself, it's a series object. And we can also do grouping by using arrays. We can use array objects to do grouping also. Let's look at an example of that. Let's create an array. Let's create an array of names and save it in a variable called names. Let's use NumPy's array method np.array, and then we'll pass a list of names. Let's say Jane, Tom, Jane, and Jane. And let's create another array and save it in a variable called years. We'll use NumPy's array, and let's put some random years when they were born. Just gonna put a list of some dates, some years. Let's say 1999, 1999, 1982, 1999, and 1982. What we can do is we can group our data frame by using this names and years array. Let's see how we can do that. So we have our data frame, and we wanna group our column 1. So we'll call the group by method on it, group by, and we want to group it by using this names and years arrays. So we pass names and years, and once we group our data frame by using names and years, we want to calculate the mean of our aggregate. So we call the mean method on it. And then if we run this, we see that we have grouped our data frame by names, which is Jane and Tom, and then by years, 1982 and 1999. And that's our mean. So in these examples, we were targeting our column 1. So we were grouping the data frame by considering column 1. So we were calling group by functions on a specific column, which is column 1 in this case. We could also use the group by function on our entire data frame. So let's group the data frame by key 1. So we'll be grouping the entire data frame in this case. So we have our data frame, and then we'll call the group by function on it, and we'll group it by using key 1. And then once it's grouped, we can calculate the mean by calling the mean method on our aggregate, on our grouped data frame. So here you see that our data frame is grouped by key 1, which is either A or B. And then we have the mean on each column, column 1 and column 2. We could have also grouped it by both keys. Let's look at an example of that. So we have our data frame that group by. Then we can group it by both key 1 and key 2. And once it's grouped, we can call the mean method on it. In this case, our data frame will be grouped first by key 1 and key 2. And then we'll have our mean for both columns 1 and 2. So it's grouped by key 1 and key 2. And then we have our means for columns 1 and columns 2. So these are some examples of group by function. And in this example where we grouped our data frame by key 1, you see that there is no key 2 column here. That's because key 2 doesn't have any numeric data. So key 2 is not numeric. That's why it's excluded from the result here, since we calculate mean on numeric data. Great. Thank you everyone. And